Chapter 2. The Sickening Dread. Days turned into nights. I started to wake up. It was 9 a.m. My shoulder still hurts. I could feel the pain coming towards me. How long have I been up for? I thought. Just then, Naoki came to my room with a big smile. "Good news," Naoki said. "Your blood might have been in critical condition, and it is pretty unstable, but as long as it stays in your body, you'll be just fine." I started to question how long it'll take for the blood to stay in my body. And he says it'll take about an hour. I started to get more suspicious. No wonder my blood has been keeping my body since the first day. "But Naoki," I said, "how will the blood affect everyone, including the void?" Naoki shook his head. "I'm not sure, but the blood might be able to make things a little bit worse if it creates more and more mimics." I started scratching my shoulder, and Naoki told me not to touch it. He also explained that it's too unstable and it could get worse if I keep scratching it. If I had ever to scratch my own shoulder, blood would come out. I promised not to let that happen. As I started writing my notes in the village, Iger came up to me. "Hey, Shad," Iger said. "Whoa, where'd you get that Band-Aid from?" "Oh, that?" I asked. Naoki removed my blood to put some experiments on it. "Why did he do that?" Iger asked. I explained with a simple tone. "My blood has been unstable ever since. Ever since then, my blood has created mimics that can possess people and can kill anyone that gets in its way. It seemed to be getting worse from now and then, so Evel and Naoki decided to run some tests on it." "I see," Iger said. "So your blood has been getting worse every now and then?" I nodded. I started to thought about something. If mimics were be able to take the form of every person, it would have become dangerous, and it would mimic memories, like my memories. When I got home, I started to sit on the couch. I was even going to think about scratching my shoulder, but it was way too dangerous. It could have been itchy. I started to remember everything that Naoki told me. He told me that if I started scratching my arm, more blood could fall and create more mimics. I started to rub my arm. I started to rub my shoulder. No blood was coming out. The pain was so powerful. I could almost feel it in my shoulder. I started to rub it again. Nothing happened. All there was pain in my shoulder. I didn't want to do that. So I went upstairs to my room. I sat on my bed, thinking about what should I do next. Maybe start to write notes? Maybe drawing? Or maybe playing music. There was a knock on the door. I went downstairs to answer it. It was Shu. You didn't rub your arm, did you? Shu asked. I started to hesitate. At first, I didn't remember everything Naoki said about rubbing my shoulder. I started to nod. Shu let out a sigh. You know you're not supposed to rub your arm. It could even hurt, even more, Shu said. I know, I replied, but my shoulder has been so itchy. It even hurts my shoulder. Shu came in. My shoulder still hurts. He touches my shoulder. Is your shoulder okay? Shu asked. I nodded. Don't scratch on it, Shu warned. It'll create more mimics if you do. One drop could create a mimic of you, like I said. I started to remember everything. If I were to scratch my arm when it was itchy, more mimics could follow. It was nighttime. I was in my bed sleeping. The pain, it just keeps getting stronger. My shoulder keeps getting worse. I feared that if I keep rubbing it, it would cause more pain. But if I keep scratching it, more blood will drop. It had to be done. I didn't have a choice. I started rubbing my shoulder in my bed. The pain was so powerful. I didn't want any more blood in my bed or on the floor, or else more mimics could rise up. I kept rubbing my band-aid on the shoulder. I started rubbing on my shoulder so that the itching would stop. I kept itching rapidly. After that, there was nothing but pain in my shoulder. I started to grit my teeth, feeling the pain coming through my shoulder. My shoulder, I started to say. I fell on the floor, trying to lie down and see if I could get any sleep. I woke up in a world of nothingness. There was whispers in the air. I started to wander around to see what they were saying. They are coming. The mimics are coming. The voices whisper. They were coming from my hand. They were coming from my head. I can't get it out. I started to run away as fast as I can. And I stopped for a second. There was a mimic of me in the void. It turned around and started making Wendigo noises. What are you? I yelled. It didn't say anything. Just then, it teleported behind me. I started to turn around and it grabbed my neck. Let go of me! I started to yell out. Nothing. It started choking me. I grabbed its arms and restrained it so that it would let go of my arms, my neck, but it was too strong. Suddenly, the mimic pulled out a knife. Wait, the knife! I said, before it could stab me in the neck. I grabbed its arm, and I started kicking it. I ran as fast as I can, but it grabbed me. Let go of me! I screamed. Somebody help me, please! Somebody! Just then, it cut my arm. I started to scream in pain. There was blood coming out. I gripped my arm. The mimic disappeared. More drops of blood are everywhere. I started to run away. There were more mimics of me. Just before that, they started to kill me. They ripped every single one of my limbs and my head, and I started to scream in pain. I suddenly woke up. It was all a nightmare. I started to sigh in relief. Just then, Naoki and Shu came to my room, looking very worried. What happened? Naoki said. I just had a nightmare, I said. They sighed in relief. I thought you were kidnapped. I wasn't, I said. Tell me what happened in that nightmare, Shu asked. I started to explain how the mimic stabbed me and started to choke me. In the nightmare that I had, there was more blood coming in my arm. There were more and more mimics of me, I said. They even started ripping me apart. Naoki let out a sigh. He didn't have time to explain everything about what happened. Shu touched my shoulder. If your nightmares keep getting worse, just let us know, okay? Shu said. We'll always be there if you need us. I started to nod. If I ever start to have the same nightmare that I had once before, I would have been too terrified.